Do you want to know how to get out of a bad mood? I mean, I'd love to have that success at getting out of a bad mood every day, but sometimes I can't. But it's pretty simple. It's be nice to people. A number of years ago, I went to a seminar. It was on financial services, and I was there with a friend of mine, and I thought it was on practice management, but Harvey Sarner, who was running the seminar, says, it was a mistake in the program. It wasn't on practice management. It was really on retirement planning, but if those of you want the seminar in practice management, I'll give it to you. Be nice to people. Well, that was about 40 years ago. I listened to that, and I remember that every day when I go to work, when I go to Starbucks, when I go to the airport, when I'm talking to friends, when I'm talking to the person that cuts my lawn, when I'm talking to the guy who cuts my hair, anybody in my life. I try to be nice to them. I'm not always nice to them, but it's really a good recipe for success. At the end of every one of these videos, as those of you who've watched me know, I always say, be the gift. Well, being the gift is probably the most important thing I've learned over my last 70 years on Earth. And it makes more sense today than it ever has. Because if I'm not the gift to those I serve, if I'm not the gift to those around me, then I get filled with resentment. Nobody signed a contract with me to act a certain way. When I walk into the gas station or if I get my car washed, that guy there does not sign a contract that he's going to be really nice to me when he takes my token when my car is washed. My team did not sign a contract saying they're going to smile at me when I walk into the office every day. My referral source doesn't say, Michael, I appreciate you so much for doing what you do. Thank you for doing that. There's no contract out there. And all of us, most of the time we get upset with other people, whether it's a patient, whether it's a teammate, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a family member, whether it's someone we work with in a store or financially or some institution, whether it's the stock market or global warming, whatever it is, it's because we feel that they signed a contract that they never signed. We're not the directors of the world. We're just people trying to do our part. And I know what my part is in the world. My part is to be a good doctor, to be there for my patients, to be open and honest, to be vulnerable, to talk to them openly, and to be able to give them the treatment that will make them better. That is what I do. I do not control whether they're going to pay their bills, whether they're going to be there on time, whether they're going to smile at the end of surgery, etc. That I can't control. And by giving up that control, because that's out of my control, it makes my life a lot easier because I can only control what I do. I can't even control what I think because my thoughts are fleeting. They come and they go all the time. So how do I get out of that? How do I get myself into a good mood? When I'm sort of in a bad mood, I always think, what's going on? Why am I in a bad mood? Sometimes I don't know. Most of the times I can figure it out. But it's usually something very simple, like I got a spot of tomato sauce on my white shirt and I'm about to give a lecture, or I broke my shoelace. It's usually something pretty simple, or I'm 5 minutes late. And then I acknowledge it. I say, all right, I wish I didn't feel this way. And then maybe I'll talk to somebody else about it. But the most important thing that I do is I realize it doesn't make a difference. What can I do in this moment to make things better? And here's the key part. Who can I find to help? Is there somebody that needs my help? And we are very fortunate as healthcare providers. We go to work every day. We basically go to our job. Okay, we get to serve people. We get to make them better. We're not looking at a computer, an Excel spreadsheet, looking at numbers. That's not what we're doing. We're not painting houses by ourselves in the hot sun. We're not digging ditches. We're working with other human beings that come to us full of fear, full of anxiety, full of a tremendous amount of resentment for whatever is going on in their own life. And we get an opportunity to make them better or make them feel better by giving them the certainty that they're in the right place. So I love what I get to do on a daily basis, and my team just threw me an unbelievable birthday party. I turned 70 a few weeks ago after 40 years in practice, and a lot of my team members have been with me for over 20 years. And I walked into a surprise party where everybody was walking around, 20 people with this in front of their face. It was a little freaky, seeing my picture and my face up there. It was like 20 doppelgangers in the room. And they had socks on with my logo, and there was a cake with my logo on it, and there was a candle with my logo and my picture on it. It was fun. And you know what I knew? I knew at that point in time that the work that I've done on the earth with the team that I'm working with is not gone unnoticed. Now, I don't need the notice. I don't need the accolades. I'm just happy to live in the moment and do a nice job. But then I broke down and I started crying because I never expected that my team would put about a month's worth of work, if not more longer, into doing so many events to create a birthday celebration. And this was at 7:45 in the morning before we went to work. And we spent a half hour there together. And I'll tell you, my picture is still all over the office. This little logo here of my face is in the hygiene room. It's everywhere. It's about time that we take it down. And some of my patients go, it's enough, turn that around and make it look at the wall. It's sort of funny and it's sort of cute. But I realize that the love is there because that's what it's all about. It's all about love. I mean, you want to create a thriving practice, a great life. Just give love to everybody. You don't have to like everybody, but it is nice to love them all. It's not easy to do, but it's something that I strive for on a daily basis. So my logo has been there for a long time because it was given to me by a friend of mine out west a number of years ago. He goes, always be the gift. And I try to live my life like that, to lead the gift. Because when I'm the gift, I receive the gift. The most selfish thing you can do is to be of service to other people because this will come right back at you. It's actually self-serving, which is sort of cool. And I'll end with one little story. I was in Patagonia, which is very far from here. It's really close to Antarctica. And it was minimal cell phone service. And I was there for about 10 days. And I was on vacation with my wife. And I got a phone call from a doctor. Dr. Miles, I'll call him, that's his first name. He was calling me about his wife. And the phone rings, and I see the doctor's name, and I know him well. He's retired, and his wife is a patient, he's a patient. And my wife goes, you're not going to take that now, you're on vacation. And the first thing I said to myself is, not going to take it. I'm dying to take this call because if they're calling me and I'm on vacation, something's wrong. So I picked up the call, and we had good cell service. The fact that I was like 12,000 miles away from where they were calling in Florida. And they said that there was an abscess and there was a problem with the tooth. And I practiced in Connecticut, they were in Florida. And I happen to know a doctor, Craig Mish, who practices in Sarasota, in the town they were staying. And I said, I can't see you, obviously. I'm in Patagonia, and if I was in the United States, you were 1,500 miles away. But please see Dr. Mish. And I gave them their phone number, and I texted Dr. Mish by his cell and my patient, and I put them in contact with each other. Now, Dr. Mish and I have been friends for about 30 years. We've taught together, and he's a very good guy. He's a very prominent surgeon and prosthodontist. And you know what he did? He saw them immediately in the office. He took care of their problem, and they gave him over-the-top customer service. So he gave them the same experience that they would have had in my office. Well, that was about 6 months ago. Yesterday, I was doing a post-operative check on the wife of the dentist that called me in Patagonia. And they just were over the top in terms of compliments. They go, they've never been in an office this nice. And we're so thankful for the service they got. And they go, you even called us from, I don't know if you remember this, Mike, but you were in Patagonia. I go, I remember. And you sent us this doctor in Florida. That was phenomenal. I go, I know. They go, who does that? I said, well, maybe people don't do that, but I look at it as a good way to build the business. I go, I did it for selfish reasons, Miles. And I was sort of joking. I said, because when you called, I knew it was an emergency. And if I can call you, he goes, you call back within 7 minutes. When I can call someone back within 7 minutes, whether it's a Sunday night or if I'm on vacation, it's an amazing, amazing gift to that patient. And that patient will tell that story over and over again. So there's some marketing for my practice, but more importantly, I got that patient out of pain, and that means a lot to me. It means a lot to the patient. They'll never forget that. And since Miles has retired, we didn't work together when he was in practice, but since he's retired, he's referred his whole family to the practice. Now, he thinks I'm a really good surgeon, and I'm good at what I do, but he really doesn't know. Here's what he does know. He knows how he's made to feel when he's in our practice. And he's made to feel that he's safe, he's taken care for. And my patient, his wife says, I walk in here and I immediately get relaxed. And she's had a full mouth rehabilitation. Who gets relaxed when you're walking into a doctor's office for a full mouth rehabilitation? Anyway, that's my story about being the gift. And I can tell story after story after story. And I've been on the opposite side of that where people are the gift to me. It's unbelievable. So be the gift to those you serve. Be the gift to everybody in your life. It's not easy because we're selfish human beings. We're all sort of caught up in ourselves and our own anxiety. We're caught up in the past that we can't change. We're caught up in a future that doesn't exist. But by being the gift, we live in the present, and then the future is usually better than we're going to expect. Have a great day, everybody. Remember, be the gift.